Aujourd'hui, je vais parler de why I think it's awesome that my wifey's learning a third language. Yeah, okay. So this isn't really about my wifey specifically, I swear, but more about reasons and the positives to work on foreign languages at all. Hey, Zampak here. I don't know if you can tell, but English is in fact not my first language. I mean, I feel like I've done okay imitating the natives in the grand old country of the USA, right? Right? Yeah. Boy, I hope so. But this isn't about me, but really about one of those common ways to spend time in my early retirement, and that is learning a new language. Yeah, to be clear, my wife, she's done a much better job of this than me. She's working on fluency on her third language. She's racing ahead of me on that front. I mean, I think it helps that she's learning Chinese. That's my native tongue, so she's got me as a teaching assistant, essentially, that's always in place to help her. So I would like some credit. Yes, sirree. Okay, tangent aside. I can hear the young and modern object and say, why even bother? We have technology now. There's translation software. It's getting better and better, especially now with AI. AI everywhere, turbocharging all the progress. Will language learning be a thing of the past? Seriously, why bother? Well, that's the topic for my rant today, because I'm full of opinions and I got a ton of time. Booyakasha, so. If you enjoy some random rants from a dude with no production skills whatsoever, like, subscribe, share, comment, or whatever. I'll be great regardless, because I just do these for funsies. Hit that bell icon. I don't know where that is, but I'm asking you guys to do it because it's internet details, whatever. It's cool. Number one reason, okay? All this translation tech, just not quite there. Like, maybe in 5 to 10 years? I mean, I am old and out of touch, so maybe it'll be sooner, let's say 2 years? Because I'm assuming processing speed and AI will always get better and better, right? But I am talking about right this second, right now. In 2026, yeah, you cannot honestly have a real conversation in a foreign language with a local in person, okay? Based purely on translation software alone, you know. It's not like Star Trek, Universal Translator. Sorry, it's just not there yet. Now, I get it. Translation software itself generally has gotten very, very good. If you're at home, it'll do a better job than most people you know who speak the language, okay? But I'm talking about a face-to-face conversation in real-world conditions. Think about that. There's a cadence to that, right? There's background noise in most places and, you know, just reality. Personal example recently that I can draw from, right? My aunt was visiting from China. She barely speaks any English as a tourist, and she was trying to use her translation device on a crowded New York City subway car. Oh my lord. Imagine my eye roll even more than what I just did right there, because I was like, yeah, your thingamajig is not going to do anything, and of course I was right in those conditions. Or have you ever seen 90 Day Fiance, that show where, you know, Americans marry foreigners? And they usually have a language gap, right? And they're not just having a conversation, but sometimes an entire argument via translation software. All the stops and pauses for the phone to do the translation just completely deflates people's momentum in terms of actually communicating. So yeah, computers, please do better. I'm all for it, but you're just not there. Okay, not there yet. A more important point, though, however, is that language learning is literally working out for your brain. Okay? Just like doing push-ups or Tai Chi works out your muscles or joints or whatever physically. Language learning works out part of your brain that you really haven't thought about, maybe ever, okay? I was chatting with my wifey about this topic, and she immediately wanted to show me studies that proves that, you know, in terms of benefits of brain power, because there are studies that show that, you know, you learn a new language, it helps your brain. And I basically told her, oh, I don't need those studies, okay? I think any foreign language learner intuitively already understands what a benefit that is, and that how it exists for your brain, because no matter what foreign language you learn, it is approaching what you think of as a normal everyday type of point of view from a different angle in terms of expression, and every single person hopefully can feel the difference in terms of how their brain is working in that slightly different fashion when they're trying to speak a foreign language. I'm not even counting on how, if you're learning a language that's vastly different from your mother tongue, right? How, just generally how uncomfortable that can feel immediately out of the gates. I mean, it is very similar to when you work out physically, right? Because when you do that, your muscles get stressed, and that's how you know you're straightening yourself, right? Same with like language mental gymnastics, that is, foreign language learning. That discomfort from learning something new, that's how you know you're actually getting a good workout, right? I think this is very intuitive. You don't need a study to tell you that. Now, my final point is that learning a foreign language can put you in just a deeper cultural context than if you're not even bothering with the local language, even if you're traveling, okay? Of course, this point assumes that, you are interested, if you're interested in, let's say, French or Chinese, that you're probably going to want to visit, which isn't exactly 100% of the audience in terms of, learners. To be frank, though, even the learners who don't end up, for whatever reason, visiting the country where the language originates from or dominates in, just the attempt at learning already displays some interest in the cultural context that is different from whatever your native tongue and your native place is, right? There is simply no exact direct translation of so many phrases depending on what language you're learning, right? That a learner will then be forced to look at the world, not just the language, but the world in a slightly different manner, right? I think this forced separate perspective is indubitably a good thing, right? I'm going to give you some quick examples, like why do Chinese, the language, have so many different variations for nephews and grandmas depending on which side of the family you're on, like cousins too, right? It is that way because the culture has such a huge emphasis on familial relations, right? Duh. Or why our most common greeting is literally, did you eat yet, right? It's not actually about the food. The food stands for care and love you have. So we don't, Chinese people don't really get offended if you decline the offering of food, but the offering itself is basically how some cultures basically indicate, oh, you're important to me. Stuff your face as my guest, please. So I think this is extra important because you do get to learn that everybody in the world, in their brains, they're the same, but how we express it ourselves, like how we love each other is, that might be different. In conclusion, even in the soon-to-be futuristic world of tech power, or whatever young people might imagine to be the very soon future even, there are still, the main advantages of learning languages that I listed, right? Maybe it's practical because you want to, travel and see new places right now. Maybe it's because you just want to be smarter and a more complete person. Just remember, you might think, oh, maybe I don't need to learn it because in 5 to 10 years it'll all be automated or whatever. Well, when I was a kid, 20, 30 years ago, we thought in 2 decades we'd all have hoverboards, the kind of Back to the Future skateboards that hover above the ground. And guess what? That shit never happened. So nothing, certainly not tech, is guaranteed in life, okay? So instead, focus on what you can do to make yourself better and smarter every day, because nobody can take that away from you once you've learned it, right? So am I off my rockers? Feel free to yell at me below or whatever. Otherwise, cheers. À la prochaine.